Why hello there, citizens of YouTube land, and welcome to another one of my broadcasts. Today we're going to do something simple but very fun. We're going to unleash the lightning with the one and only Prisma Ohma. This weapon is a perfect fit for melee influence. It's a master rank 12 pair of torn fast that do primarily electricity damage with a decent chunk of impact and a little bit of slash on the side. It sports a 30% crit chance with a 2.2 times crit multiplier as well as a 20% status chance, and it has a decent base attack speed of 1. Now the only way to get this one is to either buy it from Barocketeer or to buy it from someone else who bought it from Barocketeer. You could theoretically just use the regular Ohma, which actually has 10% more status chance, but you can see the rest of the comparison isn't very favorable. You have less damage, less attack speed, less crit multiplier, but most importantly only half the crit chance. So while this will absolutely work on the standard Ohma as well, it is not going to be anywhere near as good because of that lower crit chance. But anyway, that's enough blabbering, so let's give it a shot. Shall we? This weapon is a perfect fit for, there it is, melee influence because of that high-based electricity. Let's get a stance on there as well. I want to go with condition overload because I have a really good priming pet, but if you don't have any priming on your pet, prime pressure point is going to be the way to go. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to fit everything in, so I'm going to format right away for condi overload. Move that over here. Blood rush for the crit chance, combo that with steel and Melementalist. So far so good. Want to lean into the AoE, so blast it is. That's way too much. That's still a lot. I kind of want electricity to be the main component of this. Do we go fully unranked? That's a much better ratio. Whipping Wounds is kind of what allows us to run the unranked Dorsat mods because it scales off of base status, not modded. And top it off with speed for Berserker Fury. I guess it would have been better to reformat that dash into a V. Oh well. Also, if the single target is really bad, what am I... No. Exos. If the single target is bad, we can do Tennokai, but I would much rather just do a pure light attack setup here. Actually pretty decent, even without priming, or extra priming I should say, from Harold. Do it again, but fully ramped up this time. I love the lightning effect, it's so cool. Yeah, the single target is gonna be a little bit weaker, especially without priming, but I think it's gonna be fine once we add Harold. Like the chain lightning effect, by the way, is just cosmetic, it doesn't do anything. Hello, Harold, and yep, viral heat, that's the one. Jesus Christ, we're at like 3x combo and everything's already dead. Yeah, I think it's okay. I think we're fine. Oh, Harold's gliding again. 1.5 bloody minutes. It took 1.5 minutes to fully ramp up because of how much damage and AoE this has. This feels awesome.
Clum!
This is such a perfect build for the Ohma. It fits so very well. I love it. It's almost like the special lightning effect is actually doing something. It's so cool. You all know I'm a sucker for weird and quirky builds, right? I love them, but sometimes not doing anything spicy or saucy and just like doing a nice straightforward light attack build that does a lot of damage and kind of leans into the weapon's strengths is just the most fun thing to do. Alright, Acolyte time. Let's see what the single target is like. I'm willing to bet that it's gonna be decent. That was a lot of damage. Okay. I guess it depends on how many enemies are surrounding the Acolyte. Dude, that's more that we don't need Tennokai. That's more than good enough. Tennokai would be really strong on this, by the way. So if you want to really min-max it, do go for Tennokai because Tonfats have a force slash on heavy. So you get a lot of extra single target from it. What a fun setup. This is just a good time. So far, the armored enemies aren't really posing much of a problem, which is good. Whoa, look at them go. Look at the procs. Jeez, dude, that's so much fun. I'm a simple man. This is like all I need to be happy. Ooh, I'm flying. Yeah, this is pretty much as good as it gets, I think. Like, you could make it stronger with Tennokai. Maybe you could run Warcry. Yeah, probably Warcry for more attack speed. That would be even more fun. It is more of an AoE, like, farming setup than a single target setup, obviously. Especially when it comes to, like, status-resistant enemies. But even then, the damage is still solid. But when you really think about it, what do you do most of the time in the game? You're farming. You're doing big AoE damage. You're killing many a thing. You're not doing single target all that often. Let's see if it was a fluke or not. Oh, the shields went down really fast. Yeah, dude, that's fine. That is like a solid 8 here. Might not be the best like level cap setup or whatever, but I don't do level cap, so I don't build for it. There's no need. I think this is it. I can't think of anything else I would want to do here. The mods are pretty much set in stone. The only thing you could do is to just add Tennokai. So here's the final build for the Prisma Ohma, and I think it's very fitting with the whole lightning theme and all that. Now it's a melee influence build, so of course we're running melee influence as our arcane, which is one of the strongest arcanes in the game. It gives you a 20% chance whenever you proc electricity to get a buff that can last from 3 to 18 seconds depending on the rank of the arcane, and the buff causes you to spread all your status effects to enemies that are between 10 and 20 meters, once again depending on the rank of the arcane. This is incredibly strong, especially when used with status effects that do area of effect damage like electricity, which chains around, blast, which explodes, or gas, which creates a toxic cloud. For the actual mods, we have Sovereign Outcast as a stance because it matches the polarity, then we have Condition Overload for base damage, Blood Rush for crit chance, Galvanized Steel for crit chance and crit damage, Berserker Fury for attack speed, Galvanized Elementalist for status damage and status chance, Weeping Wounds for extra status, and then we have Volcanic Edge and Vicious Frost for a little bit of blast. Now because I wanted electricity to be the primary damage dealer on this build, I'm actually using unranked dual stat mods to get the blast. Now this might seem counterintuitive because we're losing upfront damage and status chance, but number one, blast damage doesn't scale off the amount of blast damage you have on the weapon, it scales off of modded base damage. And number two, the scaling status chance you get from Weeping Wounds is based off of base status chance, not modded status chance, so we don't actually lose all that much. Now, if you want to run this build with Condition Overload, you will need either a priming weapon, some priming ability, or a good priming pet. Otherwise, Condition Overload isn't really worth it, and you'd be better off with Primed Pressure Point instead. And just in case you're a newer player and you're not quite sure what priming is, it's just proccing status on the enemy to increase the damage via certain mechanics like Condition Overload, which increases your damage based on the number of different status effects you have on the enemy. And finally, I'm also using the Naramon Focus School to sustain my combo. If you're not running Naramon, you're either gonna have to squeeze in combo sustain into the build, or you're gonna have to run a dexterity arcane on your primary or secondary. This build is honestly nothing special, it's just a good influence build on a weapon that fits it really well. But there's nothing wrong about that, it simply recognizes a strength of a weapon and leans into it. So yes, I would absolutely recommend you give this a shot. It's just a fun setup. You can of course tweak it a little bit here and there. You might go for a more blast oriented setup. I wanted to go more electricity focused, but we can just run fully ranked dual stat mods and get more blast. And if you want more single target, you can always put in Tennokai as well. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you some other time. Bye bye.